Yeah, there's something in there around like finding the on ramps. So I get one of my ambitions for Alexander Technique is to be an on ramp for it on the online
Yeah.
world, because there are plenty of teachers out there, but they market themselves around like posture or performance, acting, sports, music, that kind of thing. And the people who go and see them are the kind of people who go and see them. So like this, they're not branching outside of their groups.
Hmm.
And I'm quite proud of the fact that most people who are following me had never heard of it before,
Yeah.
or like would never have thought about going. If they had heard of it, they thought it was something else and that kind of thing. So there's really something important that I think we're all, or a lot of us are doing on Twitter in this scene, is like saying, hey, there's this cool thing over here, and I'm going to reframe it for you in an interesting way so you care about it, rather than
Yeah.
disregard it or not know about it.
Well,
So
there's so many, useful systems and techniques and ideas that are sort of buried by bad marketing, to be honest. And what you're doing is bringing the Alexander technique to an entire group of people that never would have ever even heard of it. So that's really cool to see.
yeah, thank you. It's a lot of fun, honestly, and I think if it hadn't been fun, I wouldn't be doing it.
Yeah.
So this goes along with the whole like using Twitter to make friends thing, right? That was a complete shock to me.
Mm.
I first got into this when I saw like I did Second Brain, and my passage was like, okay, David says that you don't need to use Twitter, but you kind of do, because you're not going to build your newsletter subscribers just by telling your friends and family and then like it'll stop. Like, how do you actually get people to care? And obviously it's Twitter. And then after being a really bad reply guy for a couple of months, I think mainly for Diago, I was like, oh, I get it now. Okay, there's this thing here that I can figure out and play in, and that's been fantastic. But it's another meta skill of course creation, I guess, is that like, how do you build an audience without explicitly trying to build an audience and being scammy about it, while still kind of semi-intending to like have spread the word almost. It's a weird thing to navigate, but I think it's a critical part of being a course creator. If one of my 80 friends, or other teachers I know, had built a course, it might be amazing, but who's going to buy it?
Yeah.
Because there's no audience. So it's important to recognize that that's part of the journey, and kind of tone down the ick factor around marketing or selling or promoting and that kind of thing as well. And I think what we found on Twitter is a great way of doing it.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, before you said you never would have thought of yourself as someone who would make a course. Do you feel like Twitter helped shift that identity for you?
Yeah, I'd say so. I mean, I always wanted to make a course, but I was endlessly stuck in that what about topic. I was like, well, what do I know about? I know about regulation of energy networks in GB. Like, well, I don't want to make a course about that. There are other energy consultants who are way better than I am, who do a way better course. I'm like, meh.
And they're probably going to have fun doing it, right?
Yeah, exactly. And like, I enjoy it, but I don't love it to the extent that I want to spend my evenings and weekends
Yeah.
doing what I do during the day. And I think it's a personality type thing. It's like, I can't do 70, 80-hour weeks on one topic. However much you pay me, I just can't do it. Whereas I can easily find that an extra 40 hours of work if it's something else, if it's just like my stuff and I get to self-direct it,
Yeah.
Which is what's happened. So Twitter's just been a wonderful outlet for that. That's like, oh, I can actually make friends here. This is great. And while I'm making friends, I can learn and play and build and all that stuff. And it's been very much that way around, honestly, I would say.
Yeah, I mean, I feel so lucky to have found the Twitter community that we're in, because it's such a big shift from what, if you ask the random person on the street, what do they think about Twitter? They'll say, well, oh, it's full of people complaining about politics and celebrities doing stupid stuff,
Totally.
So, yeah, but the way if you use Twitter like the way we're using Twitter, where you're connecting with people and you're talking about cool ideas and you're sort of pursuing things that you find fun, it's such a better experience. And
yeah. One of my good friends, like in real life, only uses Twitter to like follow people talking about COVID, like all the analysis, and like, of course your experience sucks. Like of course it's terrible, but he just finds it baffling, or at least intriguing. It's like, no, it's a nurturing, nourishing, like friendly space of people who are nice and interesting. Like, what are you talking about? It's a cesspool of hate. No, it's not. Yeah, it's fascinating.
Yeah, it's such a funny, shift in the way you interact with a tool or interact with, a community. Totally shifts the way you perceive that tool. I feel like there's a tie into Alexander technique there, but I'm losing it.
Well, I guess like the way that I've been building it has been an expression of it. So I've been interested in the process, kind of playing around and not feeling compelled. And I'm looking for new ways of being. I know it sounds really woolly. It's a tenuous connection, I think, but there is definitely something there around like if I'd set out to be like, I'm going to build X a year ago, I would have first of all not built X, or if I had, then X would have sucked. So it's the fact that I can like I'm going roughly that way, and I'm going to pay attention to the process by which I do it has kind of allowed me to like notice all this other stuff that's available there, like the friendships and the community and the play and the memes and all that, the good stuff. And then going to end 2020 with like, oh, I have an audience now. That's surprising.
Yeah.
That's just fun.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy how, just sort of setting up the conditions of like being friendly and interesting on Twitter sort of guides you towards this like building a course and building an audience. It's pretty crazy.
Well, even doing this, right? So like a year ago, this would have been completely baffling to me. It's like, what, you're having a recorded conversation with a guy from the internet.
Yeah.
He's going to go on YouTube talking about what?
Yeah.
And Colin Morris, who does the movement stuff, like he was the first one to reach out to me. It's like, let's Zoom. Yeah. I was like, oh, this is weird. all right, let's Zoom then. And he had like a fancy like camera and microphone and stuff like that. He was set up. He'd been in this for a while longer than I had. Yeah. I was like, okay, this is a thing. I guess the game of Twitter is like meet people, vibe, DM, Zoom, friends. Oh, cool. All right. But you have to learn that and kind of not be averse to it. But like the fact that we're doing this is just like the epitome of the awesomeness of what we found, I think.
Yeah, I think likewise, if you had told me a year ago that I'd be talking to people from the internet and posting on YouTube, I would have thought you were crazy,
Yeah, exactly.